It's still Monday, September 27th. So I got cut off. It's in the evening now. And so this might, yeah, anyways. So I was talking about the connection with this, right? And realizing that within myself, I was supposed to be talkative, but I wasn't. Realizing that was a blockage for me. And it's funny because this theme of the birth chart kept coming up today. A loved one reached out, and he's been reaching out more. And because he's struggling, right? He's struggling in this time in his life and trying to find purpose and meaning. And I keep telling him, I'm like, you can't wish for death. Because as he woke up, he's just like, I encouraged him. I'm like, ask for what you're wanting, right? Before you go to bed. And he's just like, they didn't grant it for me. I'm like, well, what did you ask for? Death. I'm like, and we've been joking around about it. And I'm just like, how many times have I told you? I'm like, you're not ready to leave yet. You've been singing the same song for years. And I'm like, you're not ready to leave this earth yet because you have yet to fulfill your purpose. And then, so it got him thinking, right? And so he called me. He's just like, I want to tell you what happened today. I'm like, okay, tell me. And he's telling me how things are unfolding. He's like, I thought about what you said. And I've been focusing on that. And things are just unfolding today in a way where I'm looking at things in a different way. I was like, okay. And I had told him that I was going to do his birth chart, so I'm working on it. And so he's just like, I've been thinking about what you're saying and the interactions that he's saying, right? And he's having and the ripple effect. And so he's telling me, so we're having a conversation and I'm giving him enough information to make it digestible, because it's a lot of information, right? This birth chart reading. But it just got me thinking. That's one of the reasons why I'm looking into this, because there's a sense of purpose almost in it. It gives your pain, a person's pain, my pain, it gives it a sense of purpose, that there's reason for why we're experiencing what we're experiencing in a way that's beyond ourselves. And so there's this element of que no es de embalde, that it's not just because you're dealt with a bad hand of poker cards or whatever, there's a certain element of accountability and responsibility in terms of how things have been unfolding. But there's an element of like, just because of those choices, it doesn't mean that it's when, and it ties into this whole theme of suicide, that the presentation that I talked about, because one of the questions that someone had asked was just like, how is it that people get to that point of having those thoughts of suicide? And I'm just like, to be honest, what I've seen in my practice, and then also from personal experience, because I've shared it before, that I had those same passive suicidal ideation, like those thoughts, back when I was struggling, and then also most recently before all of this went down. And it's this sense of desperation, of not knowing that we have a choice to do things differently, of not having an out, if you will, and feeling trapped and feeling like you have no control over anything in your life, right? That you're stuck. And so because there's this element of, so there's in essence of wanting to reclaim some of that power, and then the only way that you feel you can is by ending your life, right? Because of these constructs, these social constructs that we are adhered to follow to a certain degree, right? Not that all the constructs are. they all serve a purpose, but it's our perception of our situation, ourselves within our situation, and the power that we hold, right? And so I was explaining to this group of teachers in Mexico that to a certain degree, teens do not have complete control over their lives. To a certain degree, right? Because in essence, they're still dependent on their parents, they're still dependent on the expectations of school. So there's an element of things that they have to follow through with, right? How strictly they have to follow through it just depends on their household. So to a certain degree, right, they really don't. And then to another degree, they do. And it's a matter of empowering them and helping them realize that they have a choice. They have another out, another avenue. So I really like, as I'm diving into this a little bit more, that's what it gives. It gives a sense of purpose for the pain that one experiences, right? And there's this element of realignment almost with this process. If and when you're ready to receive this information, right? And how much of it too, because there's so much element. And again, it goes back to how I'm delivering the message, and I'm still learning about that, right? But anyways, so with this particular person in my life, that's what it stood out, this conversation, that what I appreciated is that this gives hope, you know, for people to feel like there's purpose in their pain, right? And then I'm explaining to this person, I'm just like, I personally believe in multiple lives, and that even that perception of it, right, brings a sense of peace and alignment for myself, right? That my journey won't be done, that whatever I'm now more aware of how the choices that I'm making now, it's only to help myself, my higher self, my future self, to go into this next phase, right, of this next life cycle, if you will, with more equipped, more equipped to handle however things unfold. So there's that. I connected with my mom yesterday, and and she told me that she saw my presentation. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I saw your presentation. I was like, how? She's like, it was on Facebook. I was like, what? So she's like, you did a really good job. I was like, thanks, right? Look, and I was trying to remember, when was the last time my mom saw me in action? And I remember she actually once asked me to do a presentation on mental health, tied into Christianity specifically, at her church. That was a while ago. And it was all like just psycho ed stuff, right? Like just sharing information. But a lot of people had questions afterwards. And it was the goal of that presentation was to reduce the stigma of seeking mental health services amongst, the community, our Hispanic, Latino community. And so, and then, on top of that, religious community. So it felt nice, to get that feedback from my mom. And so she's like, hopefully you'll get more clients. I'm just like, yeah. So I went to wash clothes today, and I met someone new. And we exchanged numbers. And, she was telling me, we were just talking. And I, just asked a little bit more. And she was helping me out with, like, just some stuff. And then in the conversation, it came out, like, she has a daughter with special needs. And I said, if you're ever struggling with just knowing your rights, in terms of just what you have access to from the school district, right? Like, just let me know. Like, I used to work in that field. That used to be my area of expertise. And I mean, it still is, because I'm very knowledgeable in that area, but so we're just talking. And then she started, she's like, actually, I'm glad you said something, because, and she's sharing some of the challenges she's having. And then realizing, and I'm just like, well, I wonder what that looks like here, right? Because it's one school district, and I don't know what the resources are really. And I'm like, I need to dive in a little bit more and just kind of see, right? Because it's all about being fair, right? Not because I've dealt with parent advocates before, and I've dealt with like really hardcore parent advocates where I'm just like, all right, cut the school some slack, right? They're trying their best, and these are hardworking families, right? And they don't know a lot of that world. And so, if anything, it'd be just like support to help mediate, right? And help things be fair, right? To not allow one to take advantage of the other in that setting, right? And so she's like, do you have a business card? I'm like, no. So it's like, mental note to self, get business cards. And then I wrote it on Post-it. Okay. Facebook account, need to figure that sucker out. Business cards, okay. Get a business license, PO box, website. Made my list. But I started thinking about that. I'm like, hey, that's where I can start out. Because that technically is my area of expertise for the moment, right? On top of like working with trauma and other stuff. So it's just funny because she has some up. No, but here's my phone number. So that was funny. On another note, I had been looking at the next group of videos to prepare. Not anytime soon, but just so what I'll do is, like I mentioned it before, I'll look at the next 11 episodes and try to come up with a title for them to see what stands out. And I may not prepare them right now, but it's written down so that when I come back, it's just quick. And so I'm realizing that I'm having a lot of dreams still during this time period. I'm having a lot of dreams, and I'm having a lot of dreams, and there's that question of like the purpose of my dreams, right? And trying to figure out if I'm predicting stuff that's going to unfold, or if it's just the emotional response to an answer, so that I know what steps to take next. Because I mentioned that, recently it's a similar situation where I just asked like for guidance, and the answer came to my dream. It came to me in a dream, and it was more of an emotional response of the answer. But then, and so I'm looking back to some of these videos where I'm talking about certain dreams. Some of them I don't remember. And then there's like there's one that's going to be posted later this week that kind of predicted that this person from my past came back. And then I'm wondering, was that the message that I received? Like, did I predict that? That this person from the past was going to come back? But really, it was more the emotional response of this person coming back, right? Feeling shocked and surprised that this person came back. And then recently getting that message from him, feeling shocked and surprised. And I even reached out to, my sister-in-law. I'm just like, you'll never guess what happened. She's like, what? And I told her. She's just like, oh my gosh, you predicted it. And I'm like, did I really predict it? Or is it just coincidence, right? So it's funny because I'm trying to analyze all of that then, right? And then clearly now also it's still occurring in a certain way where am I predicting, right? Like the restroom dream, it's speaking to my current situation, right? Of karmically, releasing what's going on. But then the birth symbolizes something new, something being developed, and given birth to. So something new coming from, so, and even in order, right? It was like, let's go to the restroom first, and then realize I'm not done yet. It still trips me out. I was laughing about it today still, like, it just was so funny. But then, and then it was the birth that was happening in front of me, and then it was me walking outside towards this new fire sign, who was just waiting for me with this uneasiness in it. And so, so then I'm wondering, is that, am I predicting my future in that respect? You know, because, I mean, was there emotional, I mean, the only emotion that I felt, right, was more like, I mean, there was joy in the process of me going to the restroom, especially because it was visually brighter and colorful versus when I used to dream about public restrooms. Like, I remember the color and the shading. It was always very dark and mysterious and very gray. There was a lot of gray and dark. Like, there was just like an old black and white film, not an old black and white, but like an old film type of grayness to it. Like, there was never any color in it. And the dream that I had was like bright pink restroom, white tiles, colorful art on the wall, and then the screen, the TV screen that projected, kind of like one of those projections, right? It was a projection of this woman giving birth, but then it was like actually happening in front of me while I'm going to the restroom. So it was this like, but the emotional response was pleasant. Like, there wasn't anything off or negative or fearful. It was just la la la, going through the motion, seeing the birds, seeing everyone's happy, and then me going through the door and seeing and being happy that I'm seeing this fire sign on the other side. But then at the end, that what I sensed from this other fire sign, this uneasiness, is the only thing that is making me a little uneasy, in the sense of like, well, why is he feeling uneasiness when I was happy to see him on the other side? And he's just waiting for me. He's just waiting for me to be like, come on, let's go. Yeah. I don't know, because time will tell. But these dreams that are coming up in the videos, I some of them I had forgotten about, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. So we'll see. I mean, by the time you reach this video, all of these other videos we're already posting. So we'll see. Alright, I gotta go to bed. Take care. Bye. Hi. My name is Yubi, and in case you haven't figured it out, this footage is capturing my experience as I learn to navigate my personal spiritual awakening. I am learning that this experience is unique to each one of us. In whatever way we believe we are embracing living our truth, this just happens to be my journey. And despite me having a graduate degree and a license in clinical social work, this by no means is intended to replace any type of mental health advice. This is just me on a personal level, documenting my experience, shedding light on the truth that I am learning and discovering for myself, and really inviting you along for the ride. If by some magical chance you find this content to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, please click the like button, share the message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account, a personal one, and one specifically for this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. I'm an open book. I have also created t-shirt designs. I'm wearing my favorite one right now, which is the North Node design, but I have that and other things that you can look at, inspired by this process and journey, and I have the link in the description box as well as in the about section of my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to check those items out. Any type of support is rate. Again, if you find this content really helpful or meaningful, sometimes when we take that step and be vulnerable, with showing what's inside our hearts and what's really our truth, we realize that we're much more connected than what we thought we were. And so I hope that as I'm living this experience, and that you find some type of truth for yourself, or find some type of ability to heal in some way, just by relating, just by knowing that you're not alone. That really has been my goal with this process, not just being able to connect with others, but really for my own healing. It's definitely been a therapeutic experience and a very creative one for myself. So I thank you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see what else comes next for me.